Hi, I'm Terry. Welcome to another video. Today, there isn't going to be any gunfire, or explosions, or demonstrations of anything, so I'm just going to talk. So I'll try and keep this short and to the point. But if you bear with me, I think you may find this interesting because it does involve certain gun-related recent events. But before I get into that, let me say that if you have subscribed to my channel, thank you. I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you. Pushing 300 subscribers now, and that is really great. If you haven't subscribed, then please do so. I invite you to click the subscribe, like, and notification buttons so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming fun that I have planned. Got some good videos planned. I'm sure everyone is by now aware of the recent Indiana mall shooter who was himself shot by a bystander, 9mm at 40 yards, I think it was, in a food court. First, let me applaud that person for various reasons. One, his marksmanship skills, if nothing else. I wish I could shoot that good. I couldn't hit a target 8 out of 10 times at 120 feet with any handgun. But in visiting various chat rooms and forums recently, which I don't belong to any of these, but I do like to go through certain chat rooms and forums just to see what other people are talking about. And in doing so recently, I have ran across some comments from some people that I have to admit I do find a little disturbing related to this mall shooting subject and other mass shootings that have recently happened. And here's why. Let me explain with an example. Many decades ago, 4 decades to be exact, I was renting a small farmhouse in a sparsely populated rural community in another state up north. And it wasn't even in a town, it was like 6 miles outside of a small town, farming community. And one of my neighbors was the guy, let's call him Frank. It wasn't his name, but let's just call him that. Now, Frank was a decent enough fellow, not exactly the kind of person that I would want to be friends and buddies with, but he was okay. There was nothing wrong with him. He was married. He had a young teenage daughter. And in the short time that I knew him, he was prone to occasionally make certain comments like, if anyone ever breaks into my house and tries to steal my stuff that I paid for with my hard-earned money, I'm going to just kill that son of a bitch. Or things like, if anybody ever threatens me or my family, I'll kill that son of a bitch. And Frank was very unapologetic and clear about his attitude on that. And not necessarily a bad attitude, I'm not saying that. But Frank got his chance one day, and it didn't work out quite as he had planned. One day, Frank's daughter went to spend the night at a slumber party at a friend's house. Well, Frank and his wife decided to take advantage of that, and they went out to dinner, you know, with plans of they were going to come back home and, you know, maybe chase each other around the house a little or something, as married people sometimes do. During the night sometime, oh, by the way, remember, this was like 40 years ago, 40 plus years ago. There was no internet as we know it now. There were no cell phones. There was no texting. Okay, none of that stuff had been invented yet. MP3 didn't even exist yet. So while Frank and his wife were out to dinner, the daughter, for whatever reason, I don't even remember now what it was, decided not to spend the night and had her friend's parents take her back home. Well, when Frank and his wife got home, they immediately noticed that some lights that had been on in the house were now off, and other lights that had been off were now on. Frank immediately assumed they were being burglarized, whipped the car into the driveway, grabbed his handgun out of the glove box, jumped out, and ran inside to catch that son of a bitch. Well, after quietly sneaking his way through every room in the house looking for that son of a bitch burglar, trying to take his stuff, he finally ended up in the last room, the master bedroom. And he had just about convinced himself that maybe he was wrong, right? When his daughter jumped out of the closet, yelled, "Surprise!" Frank spun around and shot her right between the eyes. True story. Now, as tragic as that true event was, it was made even more tragic because Frank made several major mistakes, any one of which, if he had made a different decision, could have resulted in changing the outcome of that night. First mistake was, why didn't Frank just drive over to a neighbor's house and ask them to call the police? As far as he knew, his daughter wasn't home. He and his wife were in their car on the street. They were in no immediate danger. So why didn't he just drive over to someone else's house and have them call the police? Remember, there were no cell phones then. Well, Frank just reacted more on instinct than anything. He perceived somebody was in his house and he was going to catch that son of a bitch trying to steal his stuff. He jumped out of the car with a gun and ran inside to deal with it himself. Second mistake, Frank did not announce his presence when he went in. He didn't yell, "Hey, I own this house. I've got a gun, I'll shoot." No, he was very quiet. He was very sneaky because he wanted to catch that son of a bitch. Even though if he'd stopped to think about it for a couple of seconds, he would have realized that if there had been a real burglar there, he was already long gone as soon as Frank pulled in the driveway. This was not a home invasion situation. It was a burglary. And burglars really just do not want to get involved in an altercation with the homeowner. That's why they wait until the homeowners are gone. And as soon as they come back, if they're caught in the act, they get the fire truck out of there. And Frank's third mistake was he had no formal training in handgun safety or in urban combat tactics. Why? Because he didn't need any training. He grew up in the country with guns. He knew all about them. Frank had never even been in the military, and to my knowledge, never even been in the Boy Scouts. Okay? I know this is going to make some people out there mad at me, but some of the most dangerous, unsafe people with guns that I have ever met are people who didn't need gun safety training because they grew up with guns and knew all about them. Like Frank. Apparently he never learned you don't put your finger on the trigger until you're ready to shoot, or always verify a target is an actual threat before shooting. But Frank's real mistake was he wanted to kill someone. He almost desperately wanted to prove to himself, to his friends and family, and to the world in general that he was not the man with whom to fire truck, as they say. He wanted to catch somebody in his house so he could kill them. He carried a gun in his truck, not for self-defense, but so he could kill someone with it if he ever got the opportunity. And that brings me back to this recent Indiana mall shooting event and the comments I'm getting in the local chat rooms and forums. In some of these chat rooms and forums, I'm seeing comments kind of like, I wish I could kill one of them blankety blank mass shooters, or, yeah, it's about time people start standing up for themselves. Now, that by itself on the surface is not necessarily a bad thing. What disturbs me is the amount of anger in the tone of these comments. The U.S., it seems, has just been plagued recently with a series of mass shootings, and it's normal to be angry about this or afraid for one's safety. Well, the problem is when fear disguises itself as anger, there is a type of dog called a fear biter. Now, fear biter is a dog that bites anyone coming near it for any reason, because it has either been so mistreated or is so afraid of being mistreated that it's just not going to take the chance. It's going to bite anybody that gets close to it, even innocent people who are trying to help it. It doesn't bite because it's being threatened so much as it just feels like it's going to be threatened, and so it bites first to stop the threat before it happens. And with people carrying firearms, here's the danger with that. Suppose I'm walking down a mall, very much like one in Indiana. I'm armed so that if any one of those gall darn mass shooters tries to do anything when I'm there, I'm going to stop it. And I see some guy out in the crowd pointing what looks like a gun barrel at somebody. I immediately draw my gun and shoot because I'm not going to let that happen when I'm around. And unfortunately, it turns out it was just some old guy pointing a cane, not even at other people, but at a display in a nearby store window. And the gun I used was so powerful, because I'm determined I'm going to kill that sonbuck, that it kills two people standing behind him, a young woman and a little baby she's holding. There are very good reasons for carrying a gun. There are also some very bad reasons, and wanting to kill someone, even a bad guy, in my opinion, is one of those bad reasons. I carry a gun for personal self-defense, not so I can kill someone if the opportunity arises, but in case I can't do anything else. I also carry pepper spray because I believe deadly force should be the last resort, not the first or only resort. The decision to carry a gun or to not carry a gun is a personal decision, and both come with certain legal and social responsibilities that we all need to be aware of and willing to take on when we make that choice, either way. So, why do I carry a gun if I don't want to shoot somebody, even a bad guy? Because bad things sometimes happen to good people. I have fire insurance on my house. I've never had a house burn down. I don't think my house is going to burn down anytime soon. I don't wake up in the middle of the night afraid my house is on fire. So why would I need fire insurance? Because sometimes otherwise perfectly good houses do catch on fire and do burn down. And in my opinion, anyone who's going to carry a gun for personal self-defense should have formal training in gun safety and in how to use that gun in an urban self-defense situation, or how not to use it. Especially people who grew up with guns and knows all about them. I once heard an anti-gun person say in an interview that she sincerely believed that the only reason anybody would ever even want to own a handgun is that they wanted to kill someone with it. Well, at the time I strongly disagreed with that sentiment, but recently, in view of some of the comments that I've seen in these chat rooms and forums, I sadly have to agree that she might be right as far as carrying guns, with some people carrying guns for the wrong reasons. There are people out there, good people, choosing to carry guns because they want to take down a bad guy. And that brings me to my final point, which I know is going to make even more people mad at me. While applauding the actions of this recent Indiana mall hero, I have to wonder, where were all of the other armed citizens in that mall? Out of all of those people, there was only one carrying a gun, or only one willing to stand up and stop that guy? Let me make this point perfectly clear. I carry a gun to defend me and my family, not to defend you and your family. That is entirely your responsibility. And if you choose not to carry a gun, you're the one who's going to have to face the consequences of that decision, if and when the shooting ever starts. You made the choices that put you there without a gun in your hand. You live with it. I don't carry a gun to protect you or your family, or to stop a criminal or a mass shooter if the opportunity presents itself. I carry one to defend me and my family in case I ever have to defend myself against a criminal or a mass shooter. And the key phrase here is have to. I'm not saying that I would just abandon someone in a time of need, but if I hear gunfire in the front and I can, I'm going out the back. I'm not a hero, and I see no reason to intentionally put my life in danger to protect you because you chose not to carry a gun to defend yourself with. So, if you're like all the other sheep out there walking around unarmed because you believe that I'm there and I have a gun and I will protect you, you may be in for a rude awakening someday. I take care of me and mine. That don't include you or yours unless I decide it does. As always, thanks for watching. Be sure and leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section, and hope to see you next time.